Hey everybody, welcome to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. I'm your host Swish. I'm with my co-host Henny and two very special new guests who we're going to be learning about very shortly. We're here in Toronto Simulators. If you are in the GTA, Greater Toronto Area or Toronto, definitely check this place out. We have a pretty awesome promo code for all of you, TL50, if you want 50% off your first hour at Toronto Simulators. But the Monaco Grand Prix just ended, guys. And a lot has happened, a lot to unpack. Let's go through really quickly. P1 to P10, Max Verstappen, P1.
A given.
A given. P2, though, Fernando Alonso, also a given. Very consistent with his podium. So we have P3 with Esteban Ocon with what is being called an Oconic performance.
Indeed.
I'm sorry. That was cringy, very cringy. The Silver Arrows, 4th and 5th. Lewis Hamilton, 4th. George Russell, 5th, which is great. You have Russell with a 5-second penalty, though, finished ahead of Charles Leclerc, who's 6th. Pierre Gasly splitting the Ferraris.
Yes.
Carlos Sainz in 8th. And then the McLarens, which, we
They're
have
back.
a big fan of McLaren here.
That's a double point finish right there.
Yeah.
P9 and P10 with Lando Norris leading the way. So I want to hear first from our new guests.
Yes, for
Your
sure.
guys' thoughts, and even tell us a bit about yourself. Ernie, do you want to kick us off? Just tell us a bit about what you thought of the race and who you are.
Yeah, sure. So Ernie Black, author of the Formula One book of poetry. Loved F1 ever since I was like 4 years old back in '74, way before you guys were born. And have been following it pretty much ever since. So huge fan. Look, as much as I'm critical of Monaco, I respect its place in its historical place on the calendar. It is the crown jewel. I understand like the why it's on the calendar, but to me, it's always you either need chaos or rain in order for it to be really exciting, unless there's like like brilliance on the track. Like you need someone to come up with that really, really super performance to say, wow, this is like amazing. So we've seen like Senna in the past, 6 wins at Monaco and various others. But today, until the rain hit, I'm going to be honest, it was a bit of a bore for me. I was sitting there, I was taking my notes, I was watching the race, and I was like, please, someone do something. Hit a wall, bring out a safety car. Like, where's the rain? Like, rain at lap 35. I think they told Norris, on the radio, lap 35, we're going to hit rain. I'm like, okay, it's lap 40. Where's this rain?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I see spots of rain, turn 7 and 8 or whatever it was, right? And I'm like, okay, there's hope.
Yeah.
And then, man, if it wasn't for that rain, but did it ever cause a stir?
A havoc.
I will say, though, that as much as it did cause a lot of ruckus, if you look at the finishers, they weren't that much different than what it looked like before the rain hit, right? Ocon was still up there. Yeah. Alonso and Max were still up front.
Yep.
It didn't really, it changed maybe a lot in the middle.
Yep.
The Ferraris were definitely impacted.
Oof.
But I
we'll
will
talk
say
about that.
Yeah, but I will say that, man, if it wasn't for the rain, this probably wouldn't have been my favorite race of the year.
Yep, 100%.
Aanikh, what about you? You're a big McLaren fan. Happy day?
Yeah, it was a fantastic day for McLaren. Great to meet everyone. Super excited to be here. Name's Aanikh Claire, a longtime friend of Swish Henny, and a F1 enthusiast, becoming more and more of an ingrained fan, definitely. I share a little bit of Ernie's perspectives, obviously not as much knowledge, but Monaco is a very, interesting race because there's not as much of those high-speed straights. You don't get as much of kind of those turning on like the sweeping corners as well. But super interesting race for myself. It was really great to see. I feel bad for Yuki, but at the same time, it was really great to see him have some of those issues. I was expecting 1 point. We came out with 3. Not that that's a huge difference in the grand scheme of things, but it's a big
points?
Exactly. And I think it's also just good for Piastri to pick up some points. I know the last few finishes have not been where he wanted it at, so it's nice for him to be right behind Lando.
Amazing.
Yep.
Henny, man. Red Bull.
Another Red Bull win. But half of it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was disappointed with Checo during qualifying. That is not something we expect to see for someone who is considered the king of the streets and knows how to take control of those tracks. But Max was on another level. I was about to turn off my TV on Saturday. I was like, he's about to get second. Yeah. Alonso got it. I was happy for Alonso. And then out of nowhere, that sector 3 was just 3 tenths
in a short sector.
Yeah, and somewhere you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And he pulled some magic, and we're happy about that.
Yeah.
But I think the only way we're gonna have a real battle is if Checo steps it up.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to forget about this weekend completely.
We were talking about it. I mean, is it karma?
Karma of last year? Question mark.
Drama?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
That's
definitely
a tough take.
weekend. Definitely a tough weekend for him. Also, Lance Stroll. Tough weekend
Yeah.
overall. Didn't
Yeah.
qualify too well. Didn't look too comfortable in the car. And then I'm pretty sure every incident that occurred in the
was
first
involved.
hour of the race, he was involved in some aspect.
Yeah.
From lap 1 on the hairpin.
Yeah.
So I was pretty, unimpressed, especially when Alonso, is trying his hardest, pushing as quickly as he can. I mean, if he didn't have the pit stop issue, he probably would have finished,
That second
11,
pit
12
stop,
seconds.
yeah.
What was happening there, I don't know. But he would have finished 11, 12 seconds behind Max, not 22,
Yeah.
23 seconds. But I thought the race overall was fun. Ernie, I definitely agree. The rain made it exciting. And it was cool to also see how teams adapted, right? I mean, I think the rain is coming. Everyone knew that.
Yeah.
But who goes on intermediates? Who goes on wets?
Yeah.
Magnussen out on slicks.
I
Hard
don't
tires
know.
for like 5 laps even after the rain
How did
started
that work out
coming
for him? Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? What are teams going to do? Are they going to gamble
Yeah.
for positions, or are they not going to gamble for
Hey,
positions?
listen, it really highlights the difference between slicks and inters when it was just starting to come down, how much slower everybody got,
Yeah.
right? And then the difference between slicks and full wets, like,
On another level.
yeah, on another level. Like those intermediates, for those who were on the inters early, I think it really benefited them. And they last quite a bit.
Yeah.
And on the topic of lasting, Max did what, 55 laps on a set of mediums?
Yep.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he was complaining about his rear right tire, I think,
Yeah,
for the
for
longest
eating up.
time, and still he was miles ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Ocon, obviously, driver of the day. You guys agree with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% because of where he ended up. But if you saw probably after 5 laps,
Yeah.
he was holding up the grid.
Race pace
They
was
don't
not
have the race pace that with the Ferraris, Austins, and the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
It was a complete slowdown.
I'm gonna say I probably would have given it to Alonso.
Alonso.
Only because of what you just said. So we mentioned this during the race. Like, if you qualify out of position,
Yep.
This is what happened.
you hold back. You saw that it was like the bottleneck, right?
Yeah.
If that had not happened, if people would have gotten around him or whatever the case is, that is Monaco, so it's not easy.
Easily, yeah.
But how much would that have changed the race? Like, he found himself in third at the end, but had that not been the case, if he'd have qualified 6th,
Yep.
he probably would have ended further down on the grid,
Yeah.
right? But hey, man, to finish third in Monaco in those conditions, you got to give him some credit.
Exactly. And when was the last time Alpine won? Or even got
Well,
podium?
we were talking about this. I think it was where he took Hungary. The win in Hungary, Esteban's first
because of
ever
the
win.
DNFs, right?
A lot of
Oh, yeah.
DNFs. I remember
Also-
Hamilton was the only one at the start grid after
Oh
lap
my
2 or
God.
3.
And Alonso's defensive brilliance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If it had not been for Alonso, I don't know
If he would've
necessarily
done
that
it.
Hamilton would not have caught him.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking
That's
about
true.
that podium.
Yeah.
That cool down room. I didn't get to watch it, but
It's spicy.
you imagine Ocon talking to Alonso, I'm back.
You miss me?
What about Mercedes though? What did y'all think? I mean, upgrades were brought in. They did not wait till Spain. I'm actually happy they did that. But I mean, we can't really judge, can we? Like the performance of that Mercedes.
No, I think it's probably early on, but it was good to try it on a track with the maximum downforce that you can install in the whole track or in the whole season. And it will probably give them some type of data in slow corners and fast corners that they probably would take into Spain, because there's a whole lot of that with the straights for sure.
A less technical perspective, but it's just nice to see them trying new stuff, to be honest. I think, like, obviously Mercedes has had so much success over the past several years, specifically before these new technical changes. And they were pretty stubborn last year, which is fair play, right? Like, I know a lot of the simulator data was showing that the ceiling of that previous changes could have been really high, but it wasn't translating to the track. So just from a casual fan's perspective, it's really nice to see them try new things and experiment, because at least they're trying to give it a go and compete with some of the other kind of, I guess, body shapes and side pods of some of the other top teams
They're
that are
not
really
far
performing.
behind Aston Martin right now in terms of
No.
points.
No.
Yeah.
They're like
1 point.
they're not that like they're right there.
Yeah.
Despite having a horrible season apparently, right?
Yeah.
And I agree fully with you. Like, it's great to see, like, to bring out a B-spec, side pods, new front suspension, etc. at this stage is tough. but it's even harder considering they've got a cost cap that they've got budget to manage. What is the impact of this upgrade going to be closer to the end of the season?
Yep.
Red Bull is going to have issues with less aerodynamic testing time, right? Their Mercedes probably going to have less money in their budget, unless they get creative, to do more stuff. Yeah. So they're really, I think they're banking a lot on this, the new upgrades that they brought to kind of work into the rest of the season to really give them an edge. Yep. I think Monaco's a really tough race to judge.
100%.
But I agree, like this is, if you're going to bring them in, to get some data before they go to Barcelona, which gives them maybe a little bit of a heads up on, okay, we need to tweak this. So maybe in Barcelona we might see a different, performance spec, if you will, of the Mercedes.
And in terms of Monaco, best moment, what was the moment where you guys were like, that was by far the best moment of the race? Ernie, I want to start with you. You were taking notes every lap.
Yes.
I was taking.
Remind us.
I was taking notes every lap. I don't know if it was the best moment. It was to see Alonso still come out second after having pitted twice.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a special drive.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people they're like, well, we're expecting Aston Martin to be really strong.
Yeah.
And Alonso's going to be, and he's been talking crap all weekend, right? I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it. Dude, I'm telling you, if he didn't stop the second time, and if Max would have had maybe a little bit, it could have been a lot closer than it was, right? Like you mentioned it. They're saying it was 19 seconds for a pit stop. It wasn't. It was closer to 25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So based on the screen, I was checking, and I was like, okay, 2.2 seconds, whatever. Lost time was around 24, 25 seconds. It wasn't 19. It's a lower speed limit in the pits. So if you keep everything, like if all things are equal, he might have been a lot closer.
Well, also keep in mind, Max had that issue at the very end, right, where Alonso was gaining almost a second in some of the final laps because Max, I think he hit the barrier somewhere.
Yeah, he had no traction on those tires.
Now, let's also keep in mind that for the most part, I think he was also managing pace throughout the beginning 100%. Of the race. Like he was managing pace. He could have been probably further ahead, but like you said before, why take the risk, right? Checo took risks on Saturday. Max was like, I'm not going to take those risks. I'm going to manage pace. If I need to step it up, I will. And at a couple points in time in the race, he did pull out a bit of a gap, right? You saw the gap going up and down and whatever. But that was, for me, that was the, to see Alonso pit twice, going onto the inters the second time and still coming out ahead, I think that was pretty special.
Henny, your best moment?
It's a tough one. I have to go back to the Saturday qualifying for Max. Other than that,
third sector king.
Legit. Other than that, I'm trying to think about, honestly, the rain. That was a highlight. Just bringing the rain in was, I was like bringing the rain in like someone's controlling it. But
what about George and Perez? That little
that was
totally justified.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I love how he said I couldn't see anything. Okay. No one else can see anything either. But
no, that was dangerous. It could have been a lot worse than what the outcome was. But yeah, I got to give it to the rain because it created chaos.
Yeah.
And it also showed, I don't know if Pirelli wasn't ready because even people on inters and wets couldn't control or have any traction. So I don't know if that means they need to go and reevaluate their data points on why that didn't work right away. Other than that, I think the rain was the highlight.
Aanikh?
I'll agree with Henny a bit, definitely on qualifying. Yeah. It was really cool to see like several teams battle for pole in Monaco. I know like you and I were going nuts when Esteban Ocon had the pole time for a brief period, but still it was crazy because it was after the first running in Q3, which was crazy to see. And then honestly, it's not like a crazy moment, but happy to see Piastri pick up points because he, don't quote me on this, I think he qualified P14 or something like that. He might have been more, but it was a great drive for him to pick up points. I expected Lando to pass Yuki, to be honest, when Yuki was having the difficulties, but it was nice to see him pass as well.
I think he qualified P11. Barely missed out.
Oh, yeah, it was like 0.043 or something.
Very close.
Yeah.
But still incredible that he got points in Monaco, which is always good for confidence. I think my best moment, by the way, was around Ferrari. And just seeing that flashback for a brief second on the double stack when they and the two Ferrari drivers trying to claw at each other to try to see who could get into the pits first. That was pretty fun to see.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think a traumatic experience for everyone at our watch party.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh my God.
Here
not
we go again.
Like, how bad do you feel for Freddie right now? Like, he inherited a barn fire. Like,
Literally.
he's so underwater right now.
Yeah.
I feel for him. Like, I know he's got a lot to work on
Yep.
to kind of build this team back up, but it just goes to show, like, Mercedes to be where they are right now, considering they were, like, not, the fastest, or they didn't feel the performance was there, but their team is still clicking. Like,
Yep.
this is the importance of why they say, well, F1 is a team sport, because yes, you need the one driver that's going to make that difference.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, if you don't have that entire team behind you clicking, like Red Bull right now, they're a well-oiled machine. Like,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
strategies there, the timing is there, everything is perfect, right? You need that, and Mercedes still has that. Ferrari has been missing that since, like, the Schumi days, right? Like, you could say maybe Kimi's last, the championship that he won.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of still that core team, but they've missed that so much, and they're not there now. So Ferrari's problems, besides the car, are, I think, still steeped in the rest of the team and the culture.
Yep. And they're still trying to steal some Red Bull staff. Every
yeah.
week you see some highlights or headlines of saying Ferrari trying to steal them.
Yeah. What about biggest letdowns? Anyone have like a moment that they were surprised by, or a moment that they were like, wow, that was a bit of a letdown? I expected more.
Your highlight is probably my letdown.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was gonna
just-
say the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to see Leclerc just,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him. Like, he's a good kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's made some mistakes. Yes, he's put in some brilliant performances.
Yeah.
He's here, hometown. Presumably in a decent car to be able to maybe capitalize on some of the things that they haven't been able to capitalize on some of the faster circuits. Like,
Yeah.
this could have been his chance to
Yeah.
maybe challenge, and to see him finish P6.
Oh, the curse continues.
Yeah, and the
Even
curse
for his brother in
continues.
F2.
Right,
DNF.
right, DNF.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Same thing?
Yeah, I think.
Closer.
I definitely also think letdown was like just Checo's qualifying as well. I know you mentioned it, but it would have been nice to see him and Max battle. This was just such a big swing in the drivers' championship that I'm a little worried that Red Bull might pull some shenanigans and just give Max the benefit if he extends it by another big race, because we've seen them have those arguments and disagreements in the past, particularly last year. So
Yep.
it would have been nice to see that gap stay close, because frankly, otherwise no one's catching Max other than him. So
Yep.
it would have been nice to see it not be as extended as much as it was.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
I was a little bit let down by Yuki. I
I took mine.
strong weekend throughout, like qualified well in the points for literally almost the entire
The whole
race.
Oh, yeah.
And then the rain comes and it makes an error.
Yeah.
And I know he was complaining about the brakes
Yeah.
Yeah.
being
He could-
unbearable.
kept
Like
Most
locking up.
colorful radio.
Yeah.
Like, if you miss Kimmy, like, we should
You
have a
got
mic
another.
on Yuki more often.
An
Yeah.
interview with both of them would be hilarious.
Oh my
But
god.
I think, I was a bit disappointed because I was hoping, we'd see him in the points. I mean, it would have knocked out a McLaren, but you're very happy.
We'll take it. We will take it.
But yeah, definitely Yuki. And then Spain is coming up. We're obviously looking forward to that. What are we looking forward to the most when it comes to Spain? Again, it is not a new, actually, it's not a new layout. They're going back to like a pre-2007 layout. The chicane is gone, that ending chicane, which I genuinely love. Again, controversial opinion. But I think, a lot of people are excited finally to see these upgrades come in,
Yep.
but also to see the Mercedes upgrades potentially work on the aero side. What are we looking forward to? Who do we think is going to win? Anything that maybe is controversial here?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, this is probably the first time they're going back to an actual track since.
Because Imola would have been.
Yeah,
there, right?
that would have been it, and that got canceled. So it'd be good to see them back on a real track, no street tracks, and let's just see what the pace of the Mercedes. I'm actually really excited to see
Yeah.
what they got going on.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Because last year, I mean, that was a pivotal point for Mercedes. That
Yeah.
podium that George Russell got, he was, we were talking about this, Henny, like he was literally battling Max for a couple laps, and
Yeah.
even he was like, I was so happy to be finally fighting a Red Bull.
Yeah.
It could be cool. Like, do we think there's going to be any surprises, or do we think it's another Max Perez 1-2 Max win? What do we think here?
I think it's going to be difficult for Red Bull not to win.
Yeah.
They have everything clicking right now. Cars working, drivers on a high. Well, at least Max, right? Maybe Checo needs this to maybe regain a little bit of his confidence. You guys
Exactly.
know F1 is as much a head game as anything else,
Yeah.
right? I would like to see some of the arrows upgrades and just general upgrades start maybe improving some of the rest of the field. So maybe we can get some, midfield action.
Yeah.
Maybe, God knows, maybe Ferrari might come up with something that they might click. They might find something that'll work.
Yeah.
But I genuinely want to see Mercedes and what they've done. Side pods aside, because I don't know how much of imminent impact that does have on them, but definitely the suspension. I want to see what kind of changes that they've made and how that translates into, like you said, a real track.
Aanikh?
From my side, I just agree with Henny. It'd be nice to see a non-street circuit race. Just as like a casual fan, it's nice to see that. And it's just been a lot of street circuits recently. So it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. And hopefully we'll see some like great weather in Spain as well, pure sun, hopefully, so we can really see the cars push the entire race.
Brilliant. Yeah. So at the end of this race, we have Mercedes 1 point behind Aston Martin for P2. We have Max way ahead in the Drivers' Championship. The Constructors, I don't even think we should talk about Red Bull. They're done. Just sign the document you won. Here's the prize money. Let's go. But I'm curious, Aston Martin, Mercedes, final question. Who comes out on top right now? What is your prediction? Because candidly, Lance Stroll is not pulling his weight right now. It's a lot of just Alonso's podiums.
In the Constructors?
Yeah,
Mercedes is going to take
Mercedes.
it. I think if they can figure it out, you've got two guys gunning for points, right? Not to say that Lance isn't doing his part, but Lance isn't doing his part. Like he's not meeting the expectations I think that some of us have for second driver to Alonso, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed?
Definitely agree. I know people have said historically the Lance isn't very good on street circuits, and we've seen a lot of them back to back. So unless we see some crazy performances out of him on the next couple circuits, definitely Mercedes. But it'd be cool if he did pull it off. It would make things a little spicier. But without him, getting higher than probably P6, P7 on a more consistent basis, Mercedes is going to walk away with it.
Brilliant. All right. Well, you heard it here first, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And again, check out Track Limits on social media. Give us a follow. We're doing these reflection episodes every single week and have a bunch of really cool guests in our pipeline. The next one, oh my God.
It's a big one.
I'm excited. So check that out. If you are again in Toronto, come to Toronto Simulators. Use our promo code TL50 for 50% off your first hour. And we will see you guys in the next episode.